The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of my show, Patty's Page. Today we have a special guest, Reverend David Bush. Hello, Reverend.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming over.
Sure.
This has been done in our room, our home, and we are going to be asking questions about what he and Barbara Bush, his wife, are up to and why they're doing it. So, where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in Michigan on a farm, and my wife was from Long Island, New York, a small fishing village. It's not so small anymore, Bayshore.
Bayshore, I've heard of that.
Have you?
How did you two meet?
We met in Washington, D.C. at Gallaudet University, which is a college for deaf students. My wife was deaf, and she attended college there and got a bachelor's in physical education. And I was a student pastor and went to fix the stereo that was next to her desk. We got acquainted that way. It was through her roommate invited me up to her room.
Was it instant love?
No.
Gradual.
Yeah, it kind of developed over time.
But it's all right.
I was impressed with her studiousness and studying the Bible. She'd read the King James Version, write down the words she didn't know to look up later, and I'd never seen anybody do that before. And so I've offered my services to help her understand anything she wanted to be understanding. So she asked me a few times, and we started going out, and now we got 2 kids and 12 grandchildren.
How long have you been married?
It'll be 39 years in July.
39 years? It's going to be 25 for Bob and me this April. My goodness. Wow, you beat us by about 14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time gets by fast, doesn't it?
It do. So, which church do you go to now?
We're members right now of Ascension Lutheran Church. That's our home base. They don't see much of me because I'm traveling around largely in Michigan, Indiana, and a little bit in Texas and Tennessee, raising funds for our mission effort that we're going to be doing in Macau.
Macau, do you have any idea when you're going over there, this year, next year?
Hopefully it'll be this year, maybe towards the middle of summer. It just depends when we get the funds in the fundraising project now. We have a budget we have to meet, and once we get that, then we're on our way. I've been there 3 times already. I'll probably go in May again to help with the program that's there.
So how long will you be there in May?
In May, I'll be staying there for a month.
A month.
Right. I'll be teaching English and meeting with the Christian deaf people, and encourage them and help them in their faith, and give them access to services on Sunday.
So, why are you going to Macau?
Well, I have a friend who was formerly my student, and who is now my boss, and he asked me to go there to support the deaf community there, and to build it up and strengthen it before we may have to leave in about 35 years on Macau, because right now Macau is pretty free to govern themselves, and so there's a lot of religious freedom. There's no persecution as there is in China.
Whereabouts is Macau?
Macau is in China.
Is it?
It is a special administration region, as is Hong Kong. Both got their freedom in the late 1990s, and they're under China, but they're free to operate and govern themselves. So they have their own passports, their own money, their own rules and regulations. And they maintain pretty much like it was when they were colonies.
So, when you say colonies, were they part of the British colony?
Hong Kong was part of the British colony up until 1997, and Macau was part of was a Portuguese colony. Portuguese had been there since about 1513.
Wow.
But they, the treaty between China and Portugal expired in 1999. So now they have this 50-year agreement to keep things as they were.
And after 50 years, I'm going to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah, it depends on what the attitude of the communists is at that point. My goal is to get them all to become Christian, then there won't be a problem.
Communism's still strong over there in China, eh?
Oh yeah, very much.
There's different communism than it is and was in Russia, right?
Yeah, there's some variations on a theme. China is now experimenting with market. They used to heavily regulate the market, but they're trying to move in some areas into a more free market and do some capitalist kinds of things to see if that would help their economy. They were very fast. The economy is growing very quickly, and they see that some of the capitalistic ways seems to help promote growth. So they're experimenting with it. So we'll see what happens in the next 25 years.
Are there a lot of Americans in Macau?
There's quite a few. Our church has quite a number there. At the center we have about 4 or 5 people, but there's other people in other places that go to Macau. It's a pretty popular place now, especially for people who like to gamble. A lot of people come from the States and gamble there. A lot of people from China go to Macau and gamble. It's sometimes larger than Las Vegas.
Well, that sounds like you're really needed there.
Yeah, right.
So when you do move over there, how long a stint will you go to there?
Well, we've committed to 5 years.
5 years.
But my wife says, as long as the Lord gives us strength and allows us to stay, we'll stay. So we'll see how long that is. In her mind, I think she's got at least 8 years in her mind. She said she's going to come back when she was 70. So that'd be 8 years that we'd be there then.
Oh my goodness. Wow. She's only 62?
Yeah, that's 60. What is this year? She'll be 63 this year.
I'll be 64.
Yeah, I'm 65, going on 66.
And he's going on 67, my husband. So, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right in the line there.
Yeah. So, what are you doing now how are you raising money?
Well, we contact various Lutheran churches. I'm with the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and we contact our churches through email, through phone calls. They invite me to come, and I give a presentation, usually, lots of times with a PowerPoint. Sometimes I talk during the service, lots of times after the service or during a Bible class, or sometimes I meet with small groups during the week. When I was in Michigan and the church, they had me meet with the board one time. Another church had me meet with the voters meeting. So met with Bible classes, various kinds of meetings. So it's the fun part is I get to meet all kinds of people and visit all kinds of churches. So it's kind of nice to get to know people. And it seems like every church I go to, they know somebody I know, or someone shows up, like this last Sunday.
Yeah.
A lady I hadn't seen in 15 years, she worked with me in the Air National Guard when I was a chaplain here in Fort Wayne.
Oh, you're a chaplain?
I was a chaplain, and she had a little baby at that point. Well, I met her yesterday, and now she's a 15-year-old young lady, very beautiful. It made me age a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. How long have you been a chaplain?
I was a chaplain for 20 years. It's been about 10 years since I've been out.
For who?
For the Air National Guard here in Fort Wayne, the 122nd Fighter Wing. They're
My
great
dad
bunch of
was the
people.
Royal Canadian Air Force.
Royal Canadian Air Force.
Aye, in World War II.
Wow.
He's long dead now, but he how long has it been? 2007. It's about 9 years since he passed.
Wow.
He was 88 when he went. But he lived a good long life, and he was a navigator during the Second War. In one of those scout planes going over the ocean, just 50 feet of, above the waves, looking for U-boats. But and he comes home to marry someone who was born in Germany.
Oh.
But she was the sweetest mom. She was very much a lady, and my dad was, well, being Irish, you know. So, you're German? Or?
I'm German and Irish.
Irish.
So I celebrated
Hello.
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patty.
And I'm Scotch, and but mostly in English, but
English.
mostly German.
Yeah. And your wife, Barbara?
My wife is some German and Scotch,
Right.
and she found out shortly after we got married that she's also part Italian. She thought she was French, but they stopped in France for a little while, but then They actually came from Italy
Oh,
and eventually came to the United States.
so what does your wife do? What does Barbara do?
Barbara works at Bethesda Lutheran Community at a couple group homes. She's an advocate for the deaf, and as being deaf herself, she understands what kind of services and things that they can benefit from, and various programs and procedures as well. And so she also advocates for them, but she also is a caregiver at two group homes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Would you ever have someone at Ascension, where you're at now, where I'm at, to teach for the deaf?
Yeah, they have at Ascension, I think, on occasion, the special challenge people to come there
Yeah.
for various programs. The Zion Lutheran Church here in town used to have a deaf ministry. Holy Cross used to have one. And years and years and years ago, St. Paul here in town, that's actually where St. John's Church for the Deaf got their start. St. John's Church for the Deaf no longer exists. They closed a couple of years
You mean
ago.
there's none really here?
Right.
There should be one.
Not anymore. Yeah, the people who were coming to church were older, and most of them died. There are some younger deaf people, but deaf people that were mainstream in the main schools, a lot of them don't end up going to church. It's those who went to church went to the state school for the deaf, or Lutheran school for the deaf, like we had in Detroit, which is now also closed, or Millneck School out in Long Island. They're still open, but they went to Christian schools or had chapel, and once they were introduced to Jesus Christ in school, then as they grew up, then they went to church. But religion isn't allowed in schools anymore, so there's more and more deaf people are being left out.
That's not right, going through the cracks.
Yeah.
We should start something here, eh?
Yeah, there's a assembly, First Assembly has a small group, and they have a pastor for the deaf there. They still have a group, but it's a lot smaller than what it used to be.
You should give me the information.
Okay.
So, what is, they're here in,
Yeah, they're out on St. Joe, or Washington Center in Lima, the big church. They moved over there.
over there? What's it
Assembly of
called
God.
again? Assembly of God?
Right.
And they do the deaf,
Yeah, they have a small group there.
and what's the name of the person who's doing it?
I think it's Trent, Pastor Trent.
Pastor Trent?
Mhm.
That's for people who are deaf here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Assembly of God,
Mhm.
and Pastor Trent. So, we have some information. Who is Paul Chan?
Paul Chan was a friend of mine way back when I went to school in Chicago. At Concordia University, I got my teaching credentials, elementary school teaching, and he became good friends with me. He was going to school there as well, and he went back to Hong Kong. We kept in touch all these years. So when my first trip over last year, I looked him up, and he took me out to dinner, and our friendship just it was like it was 40 years ago. And he told me that he became a Christian through the work of missionaries in Hong Kong. And that's how he ended up coming to a Christian college and then going back and work for the church. He ended up being in charge of the social services over there for the Lutheran Church, the Hong Kong Synod. And just retired, but he had over 1,000 people working for him, and he had influenced so many people. So when he told me the story, that kind of inspired me to be a missionary, because I want to maybe bring a few people to Christ who can also become so skilled with people that they can influence more people for Christ.
When did you go into the mission field?
Well, right out of the seminary, I became a missionary to the deaf in the United States.
In the United States.
But then last year, I accepted this position in Macau. So I've been working on that. Been there 3 times to help out, and hopefully move over there on a more permanent basis this summer. So I've been at it about a little over a year.
What's Macau like? I mean, is it rich country? Is it medium country, or what?
Well, it's like New York City. There's no farms in Macau. It's basically all city. A lot of high rises, a lot of high-rise apartments, office buildings. It reminds me a lot of living in Chinatown, New York, where I lived for a year with my wife right after we were married. And the people, it's very crowded. You don't really notice the crowding, but there's 52,000 people per square mile there, and there's less than 12 square miles in Macau. It's the most densely populated city in the world.
A lot of smog?
Actually, since it's right on the water,
Yeah.
the
Oh, it
the
gets-
wind blows it away, and there's not much industry there. Their industry is gambling. It doesn't cause much smoke.
The airport and all that.
They have, an airport has been built out in the ocean,
Oh,
but you can get some flights in there. But usually when I go, I fly into Hong Kong and take the ferry from Hong Kong to Macau, which runs regularly.
that'll be interesting, trying to land in Macau near the ocean.
Yeah, you're actually in the ocean. They've got the strip that's out in the water. And they got a causeway that hooks you to the main part of the island.
Wow!
Yeah,
And how about the people there? Are they friendly? Are they nice?
they're very friendly,
Yeah, gentle.
gentle. The younger ones speak some English, and there's no crime there. I walked around all hours of the day, and it's just a lot of casinos around. They're open 24 hours, so there's always people coming and going, and so it's kind of one of those cities that doesn't sleep. But it's no crime. You don't have to worry about crime at all.
But if people are addicted to gambling, can you help them or?
Well, that's a good question. I am not sure. That's one thing I would be investigating when I get there. I know they employ a lot of people, and there's a lot of money that comes into Macau because of that,
All over the world?
from all over the
Oh
world.
my. So a lot of foreigners?
Yeah, when you go down the casino area, you see a lot of foreigners and a lot of people from China. They seem to really like gambling there. The casinos are awesome.
Really?
I've been to a couple, not to gamble,
Okay.
but they have beautiful artwork and very elegant buildings, lobbies, and so I went to see what it looked like. I noticed one thing in walking through where the tables are, that no one looked all that happy, especially people working there. They all have pale, plain faces.
Oh,
So I don't know what the reason is, except that maybe they have to have a neutral face when you're dealing cards or
I
something.
guess you can't have a poker face or something?
Yeah, I guess that would be a poker face.
Poker face?
I'm not familiar with gambling, so it was all a new experience to me, but I'll probably learn more once I move there.
Imagine standing out for hours doing dealing and all that.
Mhm.
I guess they got kind of pooed out after that. They have a good police force there, do they?
You know, I saw less police there than I saw in New York City, and probably less than what I see in Fort Wayne. I mean, they must have them, but they're not very busy, apparently.
Either that or all undercover.
They could be, could be.
So, True Light Lutheran Church, where was that?
True Light Lutheran Church is in Chinatown, New York, and that's where I did my one of my training years as a vicar, as a student pastor. And I learned from that church that when they preach, the pastor, if he preaches in Chinese, then they have someone translate it into English. Or sometimes he'll preach in Mandarin, they'll translate in Cantonese. When it comes time to sing songs, then they all sing their own language. So some are singing Cantonese, some Mandarin, some are in English.
Oh my.
That's what you call a joyful noise to the Lord.
Which church were you married in?
We were married in Emmanuel, Britain. It's a small farm church where I grew up. And my wife was Episcopalian, so she was confirmed as a Lutheran 1 week before we got married there.
Oh wow, it's
Yeah.
cutting it short.
Yeah. And then a year later, I was ordained in that same church there in Britain.
Oh my.
And I visited them just recently.
Britain?
Britain, Michigan.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was England.
Mhm.
Yeah, missionaries. What does that involve? I mean, how do you get to be a missionary?
Well, you can probably apply to be one, but usually someone asks you, recruits you.
Oh,
And one of my former students recruited me, Pastor Dunsett.
that's your calling. They
Yeah.
called you.
And then they called me to be that. So now I'm their employee, and then I'll be, when we've raised enough funds to support that ministry, then I'll go there. And my wife is also called a career ministry, because she'll be working with me and helping me out with the deaf people and the people with special needs.
Special needs?
Yeah, they have a Concordia School of Special Education there that works with people that are developmentally challenged. And that's kind of the people my wife works with now, so she's already been trained to work with that. So they're really looking for her to help with that. Also, since my wife is a mature Christian woman who raised 4 children, she's gonna be a great role model for the young deaf people there who've never really seen a deaf woman raise a family. And so she'll be able to guide them and help
That'll
them.
be interesting.
Yeah,
We get a good vibes from that one.
right. I think she'll be a great help to the young women there.
Do you also deal with the mentally ill?
I have in the past. I don't know
Do they have them there?
what I'm sure they must have it there, but I don't have any information on that at this point. But they probably have that kind of facility somehow, but I don't know exactly how they deal with that.
What kind of lives do deaf people have over there in Macau?
Well, a lot of them are underemployed. They don't have the jobs that they could have because deafness isn't accepted. It's not quite as accepted as well as there as it is here. And it's changed a lot for the deaf people here in the last 30, 35 years. With the advent of technology and captioning, they've got a lot of press, and now sound is a very popular language for people to learn. And with the cell phones, they have access to everything today, so they're getting better jobs, they're getting better education, and they're more integrated. They're probably 30 years behind the time in Macau. And so we're going to go over there and help try to train interpreters so they have more access to education, more access to facilities. I think the technology is there, and so the deaf have to learn how to take advantage of it. They have 3 bridges connect the mainland to the islands. There used to be 2 islands and a peninsula, but the 2 islands have been filled in between. They've landfilled, and that's where they built a lot of the casinos. And they have 3 bridges to connect the islands to the main part of Macau. The island's actually called Macau. And
It is an island.
but Macau used to be 2 islands and a peninsula. Now it's a peninsula and 1 island because the 2 islands have been merged together with landfill. Yeah.
You don't have trouble with any typhoons or?
They do have typhoons there,
Ah,
but
earthquakes?
I don't see, like some places you see ruins after typhoons come through. I don't know if they're bothered by such strong ones that do a lot of damage. I think back in the 1800s they had one, but the buildings weren't constructed like they are now.
Strong.
Yeah.
No earthquakes or?
There's no earthquakes that I
Oh,
know
thank
of.
goodness.
Yeah, my wife, they're dredging the land and they're building another island,
Oh.
which will probably be, I don't know if it's connected and joined up with land. Right now it's an island, but they're dredging and raising the ground up so they can build more apartments there. And they've already done one area. You can tell by looking at an aerial map. There's a square, orderly part of streets where they're perpendicular to each other and the buildings are all squared up. That's all landfill. And so I think by 2030, Macau is actually have 3 times the land that they did than what they had in 1513 because they're dredging and providing more land.
What kind of food do they eat?
All kinds of food. Macau is, I've heard from lots of people, oh, that's the place to eat because you find anything you want, from Portuguese food, Chinese food, German food, French food.
Oh, that's a melting pot.
Yeah, it's a very international city, and even growing more so because of the increase of people coming in for gambling. But
Wow.
a lot of Chinese, all kinds of Chinese food, from your traditional
I love
more
Chinese
Western.
food. How about Japanese food?
Uh,
Oh, definitely.
They probably have Japanese there. I don't remember seeing one, but I'm sure they must have it. They got everything. They're just almost like America. It's like going to New York City.
Oh,
New York
so
City. Yeah.
It's more modernized.
Yeah, it's very modern, it's a very westernized city, yeah.
So, are there a lot of young children? Is there more, do they have more
Well-
than one child in the family?
Yeah, in Macau, they didn't have the one-child
Oh, thank God.
rule, but I think they kind of enforced it on their own. Families aren't very big there. The apartments are small, so that usually there's not more than 2 or 3 children, probably. And so, because the larger the apartment, the more it costs. So I think they just naturally keep the birth rate down. But it wasn't enforced like it was in China.
Oh, China, no. It was rough. So, where will you be staying when you do go over there?
I usually stay at an apartment we have, or sometimes a hotel. So when I finally move over there, I'll have an apartment.
So they don't have regular houses, it's just too many people?
Yeah, there's way in the southern part, there's still a few private homes,
Yeah,
but
not big yards.
there's not many, there's no real what we call yards. They have patios or courtyards, but they have no kind of agriculture. They have parks, they have beautiful parks,
Yeah.
but they're not huge. Land is very, very valuable there. That's why we keep making more of it out of the ocean.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you that, well, that's why they're filling in,
Right.
so, yeah. Well, I hope you and Barbara have a great, wonderful time over there.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to being there, and this will be the first time my wife travels out of the country. I've been all over the world, at least the northern hemisphere, and so I'm kind of an old hat when it comes to travel. But this will be her first time. She seems to be excited to do it though.
Do you have shots?
You don't have to have any special shots, but I've updated all my shots. So
Malaria?
yeah, but they don't have malaria there.
You know?
No, I think probably way south, inland more, but not in Macau. Yeah.
I know a little Cantonese.
Do you?
Lei Hama.
Oh,
That means, how are you? And he said,
fine.
fine.
Mhm.
So, yes. Well, this is the end of our show.
Oh,
Well, that went fast.
it did go fast.
Oh, my stars. So, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page. Thank you, Reverend Bush.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we'll see you next week. God bless.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us all.